Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 2, Episode 11 of Brea. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I do think it's an interesting juxtaposition where, there I go using my favorite word, between the whole wedding of like, oh, it's kind of supposed to be about unity, but there's kind of a lot of division going on because like, hey, a lot of different people have their own goals and things going on. But I mean, I do love, like, obviously weddings in there. Like, obviously Sam's getting more dressed up because it's Riley's idea. Scott wants some of Judah's wine. It's like, dude, I know you're hiding some of the good stuff. Like, so like hook us up. And it's like, oh, we could drink some fermented corn. It's not that bad. It's like, no, I'm drinking some of that. Well, I'm drinking some of your wine. Judah's like, no, you're not. I even love later on, he's dancing and it's just like, yeah, Josh has been like, yeah, he thinks his dance moves are sexy. I'm like, I love that he's become like, the background character we've kind of gotten to know like more and more. It's just, I love that. It's just like, and because he's never in the show that often, he's just like a little here, a little there, just sprinkled in here and there. Just, I always think that's so fascinating. But either way. But obviously, you have Eve kind of dealing with the whole Levi situation. Yeah, he's here to kill James, and she hasn't really told anyone else about it, and she kind of doesn't want to go down that route. I mean, but things are complicated. Obviously, Ty told Eve and Gavin about Project Blue Moon, and now it's a thing of like, well, can we trust James? But then it's also like, yeah, but the source is Kira, and Kira sent Talma and his people here, so can we really trust her either? And it's like, right, James is invited to the wedding, so this could be an opportunity to find out really where his allegiances lie, because for Ty, he feels like, I saw it in his eyes. The fact is, he would do anything to take back that time. Like the time he lost with Gavin, he would do anything. Would he go through the trouble of erasing his grandchildren in a process to make that happen? Who knows? Like, that's what this wedding's also going to be, an opportunity to find out what's really in his heart. So, but Eve doesn't want to go after James immediately. She wants to, like, because her and Gavin are on the same page of, we need to kind of make this decision together. And Eve wants to give him a chance. It's like, Gavin wants to believe in him, I'll give him that opportunity. And Levi's like, oh, like, Gavin's so blinded. And Levi's so consumed by his hatred that even he can't admit how blind he is. That he's like, oh, you guys have kind of got like a biased opinion. You're blinded to all this. It's like, yeah, but you're blinded by your revenge, because his wife died because of sinkhole. I was like, the moment he was like, oh, it's because of James. I'm like, oh, did James send people back and end up killing your wife? Like, why would he do it? It's like, no, because Levi looks at James. James is the forefather of all of this. So it's like, all the sinkhole stuff, it's on you. You're the one that continues to open him. You're the one that continues to use it. So his hatred is pointed towards him in that regard. So he'll justify by being like, yeah, I'm also trying to protect your family. But it's like, he doesn't know about the Eve situation, does he? I don't remember if they told him last episode that the whole aspect about how Gavin's vision of her being dead and stuff. Like, I don't know if he knows about that, because once again, that's their main reason for working with James, because he could get them all back to present day, but also he can help save Eve in the long run. So then you know, I mean, obviously that family, like, the trust issues run even deeper when you have the whole, well, Josh found out about Riley lying about Caroline finding notes in the cave. And it's like, right. And him and Sam kind of had a heart-to-heart, which was kind of interesting. I also love before they had their heart-to-heart, like, it's the whole, like, oh, no filter, Josh and Scott. And Scott's like, oh, yeah, she's very, pointing to Eve being like, oh, she's very hot or very pretty or sexy or whatever when she's angry. And Josh is like, dude, he's like, come on, like, you need to get over it, dude. It's like, no, I'm not going to get over it. That's my mom, you weirdo. But yeah, at the end of the day, I thought it was interesting when Sam was like, right, I think I understand the reason why you are kind of worried about this whole Riley thing, is because you've seen firsthand how secrets can destroy a family. And so you're worried about, like, right, you and her being off to a rocky start like that. And even Josh being like, yeah, I guess that is. I guess he couldn't really probably put it into words like that. But it's like, at the end of the day, what do you want to be, right? Or do you want to be together? It is, relationships are all about compromise. It's like, yeah, she lied about something like this, but it's not like she wanted to. She did because your grandmother wanted to take time. But it's like, yeah, you took time to tell your dad. So it's like, it's her dad. And to be fair, her dad's been a little like wild lately, so she needed to kind of ground him a little bit by telling him the truth. And she also she confided in him because she felt guilty about not telling you. That was like the main reason why she confided in her dad, because she needed to tell somebody. I can still see the arguments like, well, you should have told me, like, but still, it did give Josh something to think about, especially like, love is in the air to wedding and everything, You even have Caroline showing up, which she has her reservations about trusting James, because she's like, oh, you sent people after me. But he was like, no, that's not me. Like, regardless of it all, like, I would never do anything to jeopardize you or our family, And that includes, her, that includes Gavin, that includes his grandchildren, which you met Izzy before. Now he got to meet Josh and got to kind of give him a little bit of relationship advice and stuff. It's like, yeah, even, where we are from 2075, even in our time, like, relationship stuff is still hard to figure out, even with our advancements in technology and stuff. So, and I do like that even up to the very end of this episode, you're still not sure who you can trust, especially when Kira's like, you hand over that journal to James, you'll see him for who he is. I sent Talmot there, but that's because James gave me that order. She does seem like she is so loyal to him, but maybe, jumping ahead a little bit, we find out that she's the one behind everything. She's the bad guy. She's the one that sent people after Caroline. She's the one that sent Talmot on her own. So the question then becomes, is it because she's so devout? Well, it's because she sees his project as, like, yes, she was loyal to James. She believed in him, but she feels like he lost his way. He's gotten so swept up and swayed into his family business. It's like Project Blue Moon and stuff. It's like, no, you're using it for selfish reasons. Like, this isn't about your family. This is about so much more. There are more lives at stake here. But even James is kind of like, yeah, but she's more so doing it about, she'll claim it's for the greater good, but it's more so about being powerful, being the one that's like, hey, when you have control of time travel and stuff, you can kind of shape things probably the way you want them to. But also, it could be the argument, like, I want to be the one to fix things because I will be garnished as this, like, savior, this hero. So there's a kind of a god complex going on there. So, but even with that being said and done, even I'm not 100% sure if I fully trust James. Sadly, before, like, Gavin didn't even get an opportunity really to know his mom, and now she's gone. And it's like, oh, did you do it? And he was like, I would never do anything to hurt your mom. And it's like, well, we know that Kira's the one that tried to kill Silas and ended up taking the notes from him. We don't know for sure that it actually wasn't James who still did that. I don't think he did. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I get the feeling when we're dealing with Kira, I don't know. There's always going to be a small part of me that's still a little suspicious of him being like, maybe he will show his true colors in the end. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that front. But it's like, yeah, Kira's definitely shown hers. And now the question is, because James says, like, right, like, yes, Project Blue Moon, I was hurt. I was devastated. Like, I needed something to focus on. I needed something to kind of be my light out of the darkness. And that's what Project Blue Moon is. He saw it as a second chance. But now he sees, like, right, he can't rewind time. He got another opportunity. And he's gotten to know Gavin. He's gotten to meet his grandchildren. Yes, he would want that time back with Gavin. But as he had said earlier in the episode, he realizes, like, right, this is a different relationship he has with Gavin. It's complicated, but it's still another opportunity. Like, I can't go back and I don't want to yes, even for my selfish need to erase my own pain. I have Gavin. I have that second chance now, so I might as well take advantage of it. Plus, I have my grandchildren as well. So I have my family. Sadly, him and Caroline were at odds before she died. So, and, even for Gavin, once again, it's like he had thoughts about what it'd be like when he met his mom, and now it's like he didn't have enough time to really get to know her. That was taken away from him. And especially because she was like, right, the village, this is where, it's like, right, being back in the village. Because I was like, oh, this is his first time back in the village since coming back as Gavin, since leaving as Isaiah and coming back, at the end of last season as Gavin. I didn't think about it. I was like, all right, you haven't been to the village, have you? She's like, yeah, this used to be where you sleep. And he remembers bits and pieces of it. And he wishes he could remember more. And his mom was like, right, like looking around, I was like, oh, so this is where you grew up. And she's like, I'll take you to your favorite spot. One of the places that was kind of one of your favorite spots. Because James took him to one inside the tower, and she was going to take him to another place, you know? And James probably doesn't know about it. It might have only been something between Gavin and his mom. So that's kind of lost now, too. What I also love is we finally like uncovered this Aaron mystery, and I thought because obviously Veronica couldn't let it go. It's like, right, why did he have this journal? Who was he really? Like, what's going on here? Especially because like there's a Bible verses. He had them write them down all the time, and like, what? Why is this so significant? And Lucas is trying to do everything he can to help her figure this out. Obviously, took her to a little hot spring, and it's like, oh no, I won't look. And he turns around, she hops in, and it was really nice and it was really beautiful. It's like, oh, look at you, little cute little lovebirds. That's awesome. But after talking to Silas, she ended up finding out the truth about Aaron. And I love that because I was like, wow, Aaron was kind of like he was a slime ball kidnapper. But then you tell me, I was like, oh, I guess maybe he was someone significant. Turns out he wasn't. He worked in the basement on like the computer stuff, but he was never anyone special. And I love that. It's like, yeah, like, he was never anyone important. He wanted to be important. So, because I thought like maybe he knew something about Veronica and them, and maybe that's why he picked Veronica, why he picked Lily. It's like, no, he needed to feel special in his own regard, and I think that's why he kidnapped people, just to kind of force them to treat him like he was special. But it's like, yeah, he was a nobody. Apparently, he used to steal people's work all the time, so that's why he had Dr. Moore's like notes and stuff, because he was stealing people's work and trying to pass it off as his own, because he wanted to feel special. He wanted to be special. And now for Veronica, it's like, man, now I always thought it like, now she's able to finally see him for the small person that he was. It's like, right, he used this opportunity, got away, and ended up coming to like present day. Like that's all this was. He uses enough because he thought probably coming, because it's like she said it herself, like he thought he was smarter than everyone. That's why he went present day, because once again, feeling control not only over Veronica and Lily, he also wanted to be like, I'm in this time and I know what's coming. I'm smarter than all of you. He wanted to think he was smarter than everyone else, and he wasn't. And now she's able to see him and finally let go of him, because it's like, you're not that smart. You weren't that great. You were really, honestly, small and pathetic. I thought you were, even looks, it's like, wow, I guess a scumbag all the way through. It's like, yeah. So it's like, I like that, because I was like, wow, was he someone significant? And was this all, it's like, no, he was just a douchebag trying to make himself feel important, more important than he was. I was like, I like that development. But in the end, Veronica pieced it all together, kind of like the puzzle that she couldn't figure out. It turns out the numbers correlate to Bible verses, and it turns out those numbers, when you put them together, end up being coordinates. Now, what they lead to, we'll ultimately have to wait to see, but that was kind of nice. Another element to this episode that was interesting too is Scott's kind of getting hair. I was like, oh, it's Tom dead. I wasn't completely sure by the ending of last episode. I was like, oh no, he's super dead. And Potter, I mean, it's like, right, that's your ex. You won't really, there's no love lost there anyway, so it's like, you're not too worried about it. I wondered if that would be more of an element. It wasn't. But it's like, yeah, Scott's kind of heralded, like, yeah, people are giving him a belt. It's like, yeah, people just want to give me prizes to remind me of the fact that I stabbed a dude to death. He's like, they even gave me a knife. He's like, do you know, like, basically, he's like, do you know how jacked up that is? So he's dealing with that in his own way, so. I'm curious also where Levi is. He was so certain about going after James, which once again, next episode or so, or by the end of the season, we'll be like, nah, he was right to kind of go after James. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I mean, for all we know, there's a pretty good chance Gavin's probably going to lose both. Like, he already lost Caroline. He's probably going to lose James too. Just, if James doesn't go full blown, like, actually, I really was the super bad guy behind all of this. Ha 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 ha. Especially now that Caroline's dead, it might be even more reason to try and make that all, like, maybe he thinks, like, if he can reverse time, he can undo all of this and change things for the better on the family front. Like I said, that just depends on whether or not he just ends up sacrificing himself or whether Kira ends up killing him by the end. We'll have to wait and see. But Levi was told to go away because Gavin's pissed at him. It's like, right, welcomed you back and you were always my brother. You're supposed to be family. But now it's like, here you are. You lied to me about why you're here. If you had told me the truth, I would have understood. You know, I would have asked for more time to figure this out. And, you know, just like Eve was asking you to, but you still went behind Eve's back and tried to have this happen, which even Gavin's still kind of upset at Eve for, right, we were supposed to be open about everything. We were supposed to figure this out together, and you knew about the Levi thing, and you didn't tell me. It's like, well, I was trying to protect my children, so, but now it's like, upon hearing about Project Blue Moon, it's like, because Levi knew about it, and that's why he was able to use that as ammunition to be like, hey, I'm not only trying to like get my revenge, I'm also trying to protect your family in the long run because you can't trust James. And she was trying to protect her grandchildren because there was a part of her that was wondering whether or not he'd actually go through it just to get Isaiah back. He'd erase Izzy and Josh. But she's like, yeah, like I felt like that for a minute, but then I didn't agree with Levi. I told him to stop, and I thought he did. So it does seem like at the very least they are back on the same page. But that family just, once again, just trauma after trauma with that family. It's just like, you know, they can't catch a break. I mean, there's still, once again, the future thing of Eve dying, which there's a strong possibility she probably still will die at the end of this, and it's just going to be a matter of trying to undo that. I mean, how do you, like, I get the feeling like there's probably no changing that present day, but you'll probably have to go back to change it. That might be the twist in that regard. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But, not the greatest wedding day, when Ty's wedding is kind of shot like this, when, Kira shows up and takes him hostage, and Padre's like, you know what? We're going to get more warriors from the nearby village, and we are going after them. So, and James realizes, like, yeah, I'm not getting anywhere near that tower because Kira, my men, my guards that were with me today are with her, so she's probably got a lot more control over that tower. He knows a secret way in because there's no way Gavin and his family were going to get inside that tower either, considering like they almost destroyed this project. It means the world to Kira. So very, very, very interesting developments. I'm curious to ultimately see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode, which there was double episodes this week, I believe. So I think there's also double episodes next week as well, based on like IMDb's like the dates on the episodes. But either way, very excited to see where episode 12 takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.